In the last years we have predominantly given Tantra groups. Now the way we understand Tantra is maybe a little different than most people understand it. Tantra for us is a possibility to connect to the here and now, a possibility to say yes to what life brings you. So, of course, it has to do with sexuality. Of course, it has to do with meeting other people in an intimate way. But most of all, it has to do with allowing yourself to be present, to come to this moment, to be in this moment. And from this moment, you can meet yourself and you can meet other people. So I would say the main quality of our work, the main objective of our work is to teach to people how to be present and from this space meet themselves and other people. And this we do in Osheanic, we do in Europe, we do in Asia. It's basically always the same premise. Well, let's contrast it to what happens when you're not in the here and now. When you're not in the here and now, you're in the mind. When you are in the mind, you are lost in thoughts. You do not really have a connection to reality. So if you are not in reality and your partner is not in reality and you want to meet, of course that's an impossibility. So coming to the moment, being in the here and now, being present, is a necessary step for a real meeting. A real meeting you will feel it in your body. Your whole senses are awake. All of a sudden you're here. You can see, you can feel, you can hear, you can sense the other. It's a richness that comes into your life that you don't know when you're not in the moment.
Also, many times we have a sense of that we are missing something, that we want something, and many of us say, wow, I would like to experience love, or I would like to experience a very fulfilling relationship. And if you are not in the present, this will not happen. So even the quality of the sex itself changes when you are in the moment, because you will. It's not so much about technique, it's about the presence that can receive the sensations, the feelings, the fulfillment will happen through that assimilation of the moment in presence. And then all kinds of magic happens actually. You know, what we're looking for, all of a sudden it starts happening, not because you're focusing on the other, but because you're focusing on yourself, on what is coming in, what is arriving to you, you're receiving. Very often people don't receive at all. They are in a state of wanting, in a state of doing, trying to do something, trying to get something, trying to please the other, trying to be accepted. And when you come to the moment, all these start to lose power somehow.
That's interesting. Many people come to Tantra groups to find somebody. And not that this is wrong, this is part of it. But what actually people find many times is that the real relevant thing that they can learn in a group is to find themselves. Because this inner fulfillment that many people think, I can only have that with somebody. If you cannot meet yourself, if you cannot say yes to yourself, you can have the most beautiful woman in front of you. Nothing is going to fulfill you. So in a way, our work is very much a work, an inner work also. Although the other is there as a mirror, our main focus is inside, because all you need is actually inside. And this is a paradox in our, and I guess in Tantra in general. You start looking out, but basically you come back to yourself. You need to come back to yourself. When we come close to people, when we come close to different people, all kinds of things get triggered inside of us that do not get triggered in the caves in the Himalaya where the monks sit. But when you come close to somebody, sensations, emotions, fears, joys, everything comes up. This happens just by itself. You don't need to do anything. You just get close to somebody, everything happens. Now, this in itself is not enough. You need to become aware of that. So in our work, we use the other to stimulate things, and then we need to come back, watch these things in us, let them be, accept them, see them for what they are. And then when we do that, transformation can happen, shift happens. And you might call that meditation. It's meditation being aware of what is, without judging, without trying to change it. So yeah, this is a meditation. This is tantric meditation, using the other to find out more about yourself.
Using action to be in inaction inside.
Yeah.
One thing about our work is that we work through the heart very often. And the heart for us means a state of presence, a state that Mukto described of being here and now. And when you are present and you include somebody in your heart, a synchronicity starts to happen. It's almost as if you enter a state together. There is something that starts to happen that is unique.
A meeting.
It's a meeting with that person, unique in time, has a unique flavor. And that's a very important piece of our work, because everything that we do, first we do this connection. First we are aware of what is happening here, we include the other, and then from there the action happens. And the action is not going to be your action, it's going to be an action that is happening from this meeting, from these two beings flowing together.
Many people's sexuality is a very clearly defined act, which usually has to end in orgasm. In our work, we look at sexuality also as a meditation, and there is nowhere to go in a meditation. Basically, you're allowing things to happen in a meditation. Hardly anybody knows how to allow sex to happen. People have ideas of what to do. Very, very, very ingrained ideas. And this creates a lot of suffering in their lives, because they know what they should do and they judge themselves. Am I able to do it? Am I a good lover? Is she satisfied? It's horrible. While we are making love, there is a whole nightmare going on in many of us. So slowly we take all the objective, all the goals away, and try to come to a point where you just simply, in a sexual energy, can be with somebody without being totally nervous and stressed out. This sounds simple. It is not very simple, because we are so conditioned to have sex in a certain way. So it takes a while, but it's part of our work. I have a degree in philosophy and English literature, but I got turned off with all this, especially with philosophy. It seemed to be a lot of words, but nothing ever changed. That's when I met Osho more than 30 years ago, and most of who I am and most of what we do in our work is because we met Osho. It has had a profound impact on me. I feel I'm not lost anymore in talking and thinking. I feel I'm totally involved in my life right now. It's not just my mind having great ideas. It's my body having feelings, my heart having love, my brain being clear to think. I think being with Osho has given me a lot of integration. And most of what we do, as I said already, in our work is because I know Osho.
I met the teachings of Osho very early in my life, and I had to make a decision. Either I go to university or I go to India. And I thought, I was young, I said, fuck, I go to India. So I went to India. And that's where I did all my degrees. I was trained in breath therapy at the time, rebirthing. I was trained in past lives. I was training in esoteric sciences. I was training in a bit of Gestalt and with many of the therapists. And at the time, we just sat there and worked with them year after year. And this is how I was trained. And all in the context of meditation and Osho and the commune. I spent many years in the commune doing all kinds of jobs, from cleaning to cooking to coordinating. And all this was a great training. Like, I feel was the best training I could have had. And out of all this, and with the input of many great therapists, this work was born. Meeting Mukto, we started working together, and somehow I think we made our own work out of all this learning and all this.
Yeah, there is a time when you just learn something and then you kind of do your best to imitate it. And then there is a time when everything that you learned kind of comes together and congeals, and all of a sudden you say, this is actually coming from a lot of different sources, but there is something very unique in it. And I feel we reached that space where we took the best from many world-class teachers, and yet we added something of our own.
And our own experience somehow, and our own living. So what we teach is actually what we live, as much as possible.